China here. For today's video, I'm coming with a writing pep talk for you. Today's writing pep talk is all about stop criticizing your writing. This is something I struggle with so much, so I totally understand, but I feel like it's the thing that really kills the joy in our writing the most is self-doubt and self-criticism. Now, to illustrate this point, I'm going to get really personal with you guys. So this is my journal, and I was writing about how I was feeling during the writing process when I was working on my second book. And my second book was by far the hardest book I've ever written. I'm almost entirely done with the series. I'm on book 5 right now, and to date the second book is still the hardest. And the reason is because I struggled so much with just turning my writing into drudgery, because I felt like I had to do it a certain way and like the results had to be a certain way. There was no joy, there was no excitement. It was just me day after day showing up, never excited about it. It was always like I love the story. When I look back on it, I'm like, man, I really thought this was awful, but it's actually a really good story. And, I've had many months away from it now, so I can say that. But while I was working on it, it was so hard, and it led to burnout because I wouldn't let myself rest. I wouldn't let myself even think about resting, because I thought that if I wasn't writing every day and writing perfectly every day and writing a certain amount of words every day, then I was going to fail as an author. And I think that's what a lot of writers think. And so this is my journal entry from December 29th of last year. And I wrote, "I have been struggling with my writing so much. This book is just really stumping me, and it feels like the worst thing I've ever written. I know it's probably just me being extra sensitive, but it's still so hard to push through it. Getting any sort of writing done feels like pulling teeth, and when I finally do get it done, it seems like complete crap to me." So that pretty much summarizes my entire experience writing the second book. And the main reason why that was is because I would not stop criticizing my writing. Every opportunity I got, I was finding a flaw in that book. And now when I look at it, I'm like, what was wrong with me? This is fine. It's not perfect because, well, a perfect book doesn't exist, but it's not nearly as bad as I was making it out to be. But that's the thing about our writer insecurities, is that they're always unfounded. They're never true. Seriously, they're never true. But they're so convincing. So convincing. The scenarios we create in our head about how horrible our work is, they are like these amazingly convincing, realistic movies that need to win an Academy Award. Seriously, they're just, and we believe them wholeheartedly. And so my belief in those lies is what led to me struggling so much to the point that I wrote that. And then I went on in that same journal entry to make a list, an actual list, of all the things that were wrong with that book. And obviously I felt awful afterwards. But while I was doing that, I had been making an effort to try to change my mindset about writing, to try to break out of that constant self-deprecating mindset and into a more positive state. So when I went back the next day to journal, and I read the previous entry, and I saw the list of all the flaws in my writing, I thought, okay, instead of a list of flaws, why don't I make a list of all the good things I like about my writing, all the things that make me happy in this book. And It took a lot of work because I was still in that mindset. That mindset that said there absolutely is nothing good about this book. But I did it. I actually did it. And here are some of the things I came up with. One of the things was my characters. I said I love the characters I create, like Cherry and Zoe. They're all cool people I'd love to hang out with. And then another one I did was the strong family friendship dynamics. I said my stories are refreshing because they reflect my values and what I think is important. And then I said constant improvement. Every day I wake up to write, I am a better writer than I was the day before. I'm always improving and my writing keeps getting better. And I wrote about 10 points that were compliments instead of criticisms. And what happened was, at the beginning, when I started to make this list, when I said, okay, China, you need to just stop criticizing your writing. If you're gonna make a list of flaws, you need to make a list of compliments to counteract it. So when I made that decision, at first it was really, really hard. Really, really hard to get out of that negative mindset. So trying to come up with the first few points was almost as teeth pulling as that book had been to write. But eventually, as I started, making myself come up with things, I found that I felt so much lighter because I realized, okay, I can either let my imagination run wild in the negative direction, or I can let it run wild in the positive direction. And I think it's so natural for humans to let their imagination run in the negative direction. We always imagine the worst. We always imagine the worst case scenarios. We think the worst possible things are going to happen to us. We think our work is terrible. We think we're terrible. We always are quick to go into the negative and not as quick to go into the positive. And so it really does take an effort, but after I did it, I felt so much lighter. I felt, it wasn't that it took away all my struggles. They were still there. But it was like the first sign of light in that whole darkness that was the second book. And I was like, okay, I just need to shift my mindset a little bit. When I have a negative thought, I need to counteract it with a positive thought. And I need to stop criticizing my writing. Because that's the thing. There are always going to be people who don't like your work. It's gonna happen. I mean, there are people who don't like Harry Potter. There are people who don't like, The Hunger Games or all these other really amazing books. It just happens, People dislike work that we may love. And, that is gonna happen. That's a normal thing that's gonna happen. But what doesn't need to happen is, I don't need, and you don't need, to criticize your writing because you are the creator of your writing. You are the one who pulled these scenes and characters and words out of your imagination and then put them on the page and made them a real tangible thing. That is a really cool feat. And you need to be proud of that. We need to be proud of these things and not criticize ourselves. We can't do anything about what other people may say about our writing, but we can do something about how we feel about ourselves and the work we create. So one of the ways that I have tried to start doing this is just complimenting my writing more. Even if I'm not in a happy mood or feeling particularly positive, I always try to at least come up with one compliment about my writing. And, some days there are a lot of things, but some days it's kind of just like, I don't like my writing right now, but I trust that it's getting better. The point is just to stop heaping criticism on myself and stop the endless stream of negativity, because all that does is just make writing a negative place. And for writing to be sustainable and enjoyable, it needs to be a safe, peaceful place. It needs to be a place where we can take refuge, where we can have fun and laugh and maybe cry, because I cry when I'm writing sometimes. So the point is, just stop criticizing your writing and start complimenting your writing. Because the truth is, your writing is not as bad as you think. In fact, it's probably not even bad at all. I mean, there's never going to be a perfect story. Like, books that I think are good, I find out other people hate. Like, I am a huge Twilight fan. And all throughout, like, middle school and high school, if you said you were a Twilight fan, people, like, pounced on you. Because so many people hate the books and the movies. But I love them. So, I mean, like, everybody has different ideas of what makes a good book. It's so subjective that you don't even need to associate your mind with that. You need to just work on the books that make you happy, write them the way you want to write them, and just try to have as much fun as possible. I know it's hard because writing is work. It really is hard work. And it's hard to be happy the entire time. It's hard to always find something positive about the process. But if you try with baby steps to just find ways to compliment yourself and find ways to think positively about the way you've grown as a writer and all the cool things that you do with your stories that no one else can do because they come from your head, then I promise you, writing is going to become so much more of a fun, exciting place. It's going to be something you look forward to doing instead of doing like how I did and wake up every day like, oh, I've got to go write that book. So just stop criticizing your writing and start complimenting it. And we can do this. I mean, we're all in this together. It's not easy. It's hard work. Every day you have to make a decision that, first of all, that you're going to write. And second of all, that you're going to enjoy it and that you're not going to put yourself down. And that is hard. It is a lot easier. It's human nature and totally like a natural inclination to go into the negative. It takes active persistence to change directions. So I totally get it if you struggle with this. I still struggle with it every day. But like I said, baby steps. And any baby step, however small, leads to progress. So I hope that this has encouraged you, and that if you, like me, find yourself struggling with always picking out the flaws in your work and always criticizing yourself, I hope that this will have given you a reason to just relax, take the pressure off yourself, and just decide that it's time for you to start complimenting your writing and to start loving it. And I wish you all the best with your writing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.